Today's show is supported by Liberty Magic, Pittsburgh's premier speakeasy theater dedicated to the art of elevating magic. This time they are presenting David Williamson in Ridiculous, a family-friendly show where magic and comedy collide. David's signature magic is filled with jaw-dropping illusions and a very distinct sense of humor. Yes, he is a magician, but he's also been called a clown and even an anarchist. So get ready for a show with a lot of laughter. Ridiculous runs from April 2nd to May 3rd. Get your tickets at trustarts.org/magic before they disappear. This is CityCast Pittsburgh. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. The Pirates just announced their giveaway schedule for the year. I feel like they got to get people in the door somehow since, winning is usually off the table. If you could get something for free from a local sports team, what would it be?
So I'm stoked for this giveaway schedule for a couple of things on it. I'm really geeked about the Tiki mug. I think that's really cool.
This is a real giveaway that they're actually doing.
This is a real giveaway. There's some really good ones as well. They're giving away a soccer jersey that's got the 3 rivers on it that looks a lot like what the Riverhounds have been wearing.
Interesting.
So, yeah, something for everybody here. But the Tiki mug, I think, is my number one prize.
I always try to go to the Hawaiian shirt giveaway during Yinzerpalooza. I think the Tiki mug is also a Yinzerpalooza giveaway, but another day. So I guess Colin and I will be passing each other ships in the wind or whatever they call it. But if I had to make one up, I would love a quarter zip from the Pens because I think their logo is very cute. Or if they want to throw like penguins all over the quarter zip in like the kind of cartoony way that you see with the Hawaiian shirts, I would love that as well.
Yeah, like penguins pajama pants with an all-over penguins print would be really cool.
That'd be
I would
cozy.
love that.
Yes.
You can pair them up together, be nice and snug in your seat.
I think I want what they usually give. It's like usually a part of their Buckaroos package. So like if you sign up for their kids club, first of all, it's an amazing deal for tickets. And the kid gets to run the bases at some point during the year. There's a free version and a paid version. The paid version is worth it for the ticket prices. But they usually come with gift cards for food at places that you can use anywhere. Like at a restaurant that's local or like a local chain or something you can get in Pittsburgh and usually also in the arena. The gift card value is worth the price of admission alone. So I want free food somewhere in the park or out.
That sounds incredible.
I am with producer Sophia Lo and CityCast Pittsburgh contributor Colin Williams talking about more NFL drafty things because stuff is just coming in hot and heavy, y'all, especially as we get closer to this big weekend. I feel like it's like coming in almost as fast as they are building that dang stage on the North Shore. We'll talk about that. Colin has a hot take about parking in Pittsburgh, and it's been a not great week for local beer, but possibly a much more positive week for space travel as it relates to Pittsburgh's influence in that. So we'll start with the draft updates. If you were staying in town during that period and at the end of April, there's some stuff changing for this big event. We've been talking about all these construction projects for ages. As we're recording this, actually, they just did the ribbon cutting for Allegheny Riverfront Park.
Oh, yeah.
It's been nice to see that going in with all the new pavers and stuff like that. I think there was a lot of very cracked surfaces along the riverfront area, and I think it's just going to really improve that pedestrian experience, especially, with the Arts Festival kind of making its permanent home along there at the Arts Landing. Very needed upgrade.
Yeah, this is the park. I'm already getting tripped up, y'all. Arts Landing is the one by Kappa on the downtown side. Allegheny Riverfront Park has been there for ages, but just has looked a little run down on the North Shore side, like in front of all those office buildings, just behind the bridge, behind where Shore Thing was and may return. So just a lot of these projects. Market Square seems to be coming together. We are getting so down to the wire, y'all.
Yeah, and that stage is going up quick. I was a little skeptical about the tight timeline that the NFL told me about, but they're getting it up. 1.4 miles of truss are going into place in front of the stadium.
And none of that was there. I was just there on Sunday. Not a lick of anything was there. And then I went back yesterday and it's worlds different. They've got all the gates up now, I think it's the first wall before the big wall that they build later. And the security guys, my new best friends, were telling me that it all has to be done by April 10th. So, check your watches.
Soon. Okay.
Yeah, everything beside Acrisure has to be done by April 10th because the same crews that are building that are, they said, building the Point State Park stuff. So they move when they're done by Acrisure and they go over to Point State Park and start building all of that.
I hope they're getting paid well. That's a lot to do in a very tight timeline.
Such a tight timeline. I mean, and that's in addition to like getting the fountain all renewed and everything because we didn't have it all last summer.
Yeah, and part of this, of course, has been all of the trees that were cut down. So I saw them when they were, busy mulching them up. This has really got some people in their feels around Pittsburgh. And yeah, apparently the total is 57 trees have been removed near Acrisure Stadium. The whole area, the site where the main draft stage is going to be, is bigger than a football field. And this was actually an unusual sort of way of measuring this. Apparently, we lost over 500 inches of trees is what local forestry authorities are saying. Yeah, they measure them. I didn't know this either. So when they're measuring tree loss, Sophia, they don't do it by height or by number of trees. They do it by inches because that's how you can tell how old they are. So it's by diameter.
Okay. You're saying diameter. I thought you meant height at first. And I was like, 50 some trees is much bigger than 500 inches.
Yeah. Well, so when the NFL has to replace them, they're not going to replace them by number of trees lost because they were 20-year-old trees. They have to replace them by diameter, like up to a certain amount. I never heard what that was.
Interesting. And I assume like baby trees are going in, so we're going to get a lot of little trees instead.
A ton of apparently little trees.
The city forestry division, I think, says it's going to be like something like 200 to 250 replacement trees. So the draft is going to need, a couple of weeks to get everything torn back down, have the stage dismantled and, the roads reopened and all of that stuff.
Apparently, it's still going to be up for the marathon, which I did not think about. Like, they're not going to be able to have it torn down in time for the marathon. So that's still all going to be there when we have marathon weekend, the first weekend in May.
Wow. It's like all coming together on the North Shore in ways good and bad. But yeah, I mean, this is all to say, if for the people who are kind of mourning the loss of these trees, they are going to be replaced after this is all done. I do personally, having seen the footprint myself, think that it was probably necessary for them to remove them to make way for this gigantic stage. So, it is a renewable resource, I guess, for folks who are concerned about our gentle giants.
That's why I went down there, Colin. It's because you brought this up just like so briefly last week. And I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like I was picturing it being like along the river and the trail. And because some of those trees, especially around the stadium, are like enormous and flowering and gorgeous. Like I'd just taken a picture of that area. So I went down to like check it out. And it's none of those. It's not a single one of the big, beautiful trees that you pass by, like in the main drag of the North Shore. It's all the sidewalk well trees between two massive parking lots. And so like they not only cut them down, but they immediately mulch them so they're flat. So it's like, it doesn't feel like as big of a loss as I was initially picturing personally. Not that I ever want a tree to get cut down if it doesn't have to, but at least I get it more now than I did before. Not for nothing, they've also added an enormous amount of asphalt over there. It smells terrible. So there's no drainage now. There's no curb cuts. It's like it's all flat from sidewalk to road back up to sidewalk, which I'm sure is for the hundreds of thousands of people that will be drunk down there during the event so they don't fall off the curb and hurt themselves.
That was a question that I had, is that how much they were going to do to kind of grade the surfaces over there, because you just think about how much of a disaster class it is whenever Kenny Chesney comes through town or whatever. Definitely need to get those stumbling blocks out of the way for our draft attendees.
It is not attractive, but I hope it's easy to rip out.
Yeah, I'm assuming that it's mostly going to be underneath whatever floor surface they're putting down and whatnot. But
do you think they're putting down a floor surface too? Maybe they are.
I know that there's going to be like family areas where the families of the draftees are going to be stationed, and they have like a huge media pen. So I'm sure there will be some segmenting off those different pieces.
Interesting. Another thing that's come in soon, of course, more police officers. We talked about this last year in the run up to all of this. Like if you're going to have a major event, you also have to have a really huge police presence. It's part of why everybody's been worried about Pittsburgh's budget. Talking about this last year, like the police overtime is nuts because we're understaffed. So a ton of officers have been working overtime for actual years trying to make up the difference, and overtime costs marginally more to cover than paying people regular salaries at normal hourly rates. And all of that said, like it also contributes to burnout. All of this is complicated. But when they have something this huge, they have to bring in other municipalities, other jurisdictions, and all kinds of different police departments. So we're starting the process now of cementing who those officers are going to be and how they work in Pittsburgh.
Of note here, it sounds like they're going to be 60 to 70 dogs alone for bomb sniffing. And
I like that you went for the dogs first.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it's a cute element, I guess, of this otherwise serious
but you can't
matter.
pet them. These are working police dogs.
Yeah, they're working really hard.
Yeah, I saw the Post-Gazette said up to 90 police dogs. So watch your P's and Q's. Don't step on a puppy's foot.
And, their handlers, obviously, they're not just roaming around on their own. So City Council actually approved agreements with 18 law enforcement agencies. I was surprised by how many of them are going to come in during the draft. So this includes local ones, but also federal agencies like the Department of Homeland Security. And,
AKA ICE.
Yeah, ICE is under that department. I think like a lot of people think of them kind of synonymously now. So I think one thing that's really important is City Council also added an amendment that clarified these police agreements aren't meant to include immigration enforcement, because Councilor Deb Gross pointed out that some of the agencies we're bringing in to help, like Beaver and Washington County, both of their sheriff offices have agreements with ICE.
Yeah, relatedly, City Council has been advancing legislation more broadly to ban city cooperation with ICE. Of course, this follows the county codifying that county authorities are not allowed to work with ICE on immigration enforcement. So that bill that City Council has advanced is apparently going to get a final vote on Tuesday next week. And there are also two other bills that are going to be discussed. So the city is considering basically banning ICE from staging any of their operations on city property. And there's another bill that would require them to present a warrant if they want to enter private areas. So kind of seems like the city's trying to get out in front of this a little bit. But it is, I mean, with hundreds of thousands of people and federal authorities down in that area, it's certainly going to be an interesting situation in 2026.
I'm interested in that part that you just mentioned, Colin, about like ICE can't stage on city property, because I know there have been agents outside of like the courthouse downtown. And I know like, the city county building, courthouse, like the city and the county use that. But especially now that, maybe both of those will have banned cooperation with ICE, like what does that look like too, with whether they're going to keep letting ICE agents stand by the door?
Yeah, good question. Especially with the county and the city banning it, it certainly would seem like they would have to stay at least outside of the building or off the premises. But I'll be curious to see how that works out in practice.
I mean, and that's the thing with any of these regs, like they can put it in writing. I don't know what happens if ICE ignores it. Like, I don't know what the next step in that stage is. I'd be curious to know.
It's also of note that even though the county has banned cooperation with ICE, they have had a very visible presence at the Pittsburgh International Airport for the past week, seemingly doing nothing terribly strenuous, but they're there. And the airport is controlled by the county. So it seems like there are sort of loopholes in this, regardless of what the city and the county ultimately decide.
Right. But real quick, I want to back up to, Megan, you were talking about who is going to pay for all of these law enforcement officers who are coming to the city. Apparently not Pittsburgh. So you're giving me a very skeptical face. I don't really know exactly how this is going to work, but I saw that in the PG, O'Connor said that the city is going to get $2 million. Like, it's going to be in a reimbursement grant from the federal government. Who knows?
That's creative of the administration, if that's the case, because reimbursement does mean you, in fact, pay for it. It just, in theory, comes back to you. However, I'm still skeptical that the city's not paying for some portion of this, or maybe it's that it's going through Visit Pittsburgh, because the city and the county and the state all gave money to Visit Pittsburgh to be the arbiters of all this. Like, maybe that's the creative phrasing here, because in Detroit and Green Bay, who hosted the draft last time, they talked repeatedly about the police presence being one of the most expensive parts of the whole party, is covering that cost. And from the reporting, it sounds like those cities were paying for that. I suspect we are also paying for that. It just might be going through middlemen. So I'm dubious of that, the whole thing.
Well, I guess one way, at least, that the city is planning to raise a little bit of money, ultimately maybe money that could be used to pay off some of these costs accrued during the draft, is there is a big proposal to raise the price of parking during the draft. So city council is currently considering if they want to raise the price to $5 per hour downtown from April 22nd to the 27th. Ultimately,
oh, this is temporary. Okay, I really thought when I saw these headlines, I thought this meant like from now on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
No.
That's not that big of an increase, really. I mean, for most parking zones in the city, you're paying basically between like $1.50 and $4. So Councilor Bobby Wilson has proposed this for parts of downtown and the north side where the draft is going to be taking place. This would mainly mean like a $1 increase of the normal rates that you're already paying for parking. The flip side of this is that parking in a garage is set to potentially get much more expensive.
Right, because this legislation applies to street parking and like the meters.
The thing that I saw initially was that they were trying to get the street parking more on par with what garage parking. I mean, in most of our garages in the city are owned by Alcoa or something like them. They're not city owned, even if they might be city managed. It's all complicated. I would love someone to actually explain how parking works in the city of Pittsburgh, because it is not a straightforward thing. But anyway, $200 a day
For garages.
Like most garages, it's more like 20 to 40, and those are event prices.
Yeah, that still feels like a lot. Like $20, and this is 10 times the price.
Woo.
My hot take here is that I think Pittsburgh parking is comparatively very cheap. Like $16 a day for parking in a garage downtown is so cheap.
If you work in city government, you just look away, just fast forward. Colin is not correct. Our parking is very expensive. Don't raise it.
But $200 a day, I mean, if you think about the average garage being like $20 a day normally, I mean, that's a ridiculous increase, like 1,000% increase over what people are typically paying. And the city is also considering raising the price of tickets. So parking violations during the 5 days that they're talking about increasing these prices could go up to $120. Typically, when I've been delinquent on feeding the meter or whatever, my tickets are like $25. So that's a significant increase. $120 would definitely bring some money into the city coffers, though. I mean, I have to assume with all these drunk people downtown, there's going to be a lot of questionable parking practices.
You know, I saw that this extra money from raising street parking prices is going to the parking authority. So this is not going to pay for cops, but like the idea is that the parking authority will also be busier during the draft because, you know, even if they raise prices, somebody is still going to break the rules or just quite frankly not know them, quite honestly. So I feel bad for the tourists who are coming into town and maybe are surprised.
I mean, the other thing is going to be the tow operators. They're going to be doing a fine business the entire time. The last most unfortunate time my car was towed, I was in there and I did the thing I always do where I just start chatting with people. And I was like, so what's the like worst time? Like, when is this the most full? Because it actually, like, the lots were not that bad. But they're a pain in the butt to get to. They're like over kind of like where you come out on the south end of the Liberty Tubes. It's like hard to get to. Like, you cannot do it on foot. You have to be in a vehicle to safely get there, which makes it difficult to retrieve one's car. But I'm like, when is it the worst? Because this doesn't seem like that bad in terms of like cars in this lot right now. And she's like, oh, the marathon. The marathon we do such good business during the marathon. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if it's like that during the marathon, what's it going to be like during the draft? And especially people who can't pay the impound fees quickly. You'll have all the cars there from the draft, and then you have the marathon the next weekend. Like, I don't think they even have the land to put all the vehicles that are going to land in these impound lots. And Godspeed to all of y'all who like forget where your car is and can't find it.
Drop a Google pin.
Well, maybe they can use that nice sea of asphalt that they're laying down by the stadium to store some of the cars that they tow.
Should we put a link to where your car goes? Because like that was its own headache when I got towed, because I was like, I don't even know where this goes. I can't figure it out. I literally had to flag down a cop and be like, where did this get sent to? And they were like, oh, you definitely want to go over here. And I'm like, how would anybody know that? And he's like, you're not meant to. Like, it's meant to be complicated and really punitive. And I'm like, I hate this. And he's like, don't you?
Well, if all of this is giving you a tension headache, the good news on draft preparations is that Sheetz is actually partnering with Pittsburgh Regional Transit to provide free T rides and free trips on the Mon Incline during the draft, April 23rd to 25th. So that is a small upshot here. I would definitely say if you're going to be down there, the move is to find a park and ride or use public transit. And this will ease the burden, hopefully, a little bit, especially for commuters who are coming in from the South Hills.
One tip I have is PRT is offering a $25 draft pass. So that covers 1 week of rides, which is like, great if you live here. But if you know someone who's coming in for the draft for just 3 days, buy a daily pass on each of those days because those are $7 a day. That costs $21. So now you're welcome. You save $4.
You can now purchase a black coffee at one of our fine establishments. The announcement with Sheetz, like the Pittsburgh personified meme, had me like actually crying. It's like because it had the big Sheetz person, like the big mascot standing there, and it's like me presenting anything at my very adult job. And I'm like, that is accurate. I feel like a fool. CityCast Pittsburgh is brought to you today by Allegheny County. The county is recruiting poll workers, such an important job for the May 19th primary election. Poll workers, also called election officers, help run voting locations, and they earn money, $150 to $175 for the day, plus paid training before Election Day. Training can be in person or online, and new poll workers must complete it before working on Election Day. To serve, you must be a registered voter here in Allegheny County and be able to work the full day on May 19th. Poll workers play an important role in ensuring a smooth, fair election, and they gain valuable experience interacting with voters and managing the election process. If you're interested in earning a little extra money and supporting your community, apply online at AlleghenyVotes.com. Learn more and submit your application at AlleghenyVotes.com today. Today's show is supported by Quantum Theater. We appreciate a good nem-nose here at CityCast Pittsburgh. And if you enjoy a look behind the scenes, you're not going to want to miss the new comedy 10 out of 12. The play is all about the technical rehearsal that happens before a play's opening night. And the audience will get a glimpse of how lighting and sound and scenery and special effects all come together and the chaos that can come along the way. And Quantum is really taking this experience to the next level. It's really what they're known for. As an audience member, you are going to wear a headset. So one of the staples of a stage manager, which means you get to listen in on all the backstage drama in addition to the actors as they're doing their thing on stage. 10 out of 12 is written by Ann Washburn, directed by Andrew William Smith, and it's staged in the Mellon Institute's gorgeous Art Deco Theater. The show runs from April 3rd through the 26th. Learn more and purchase tickets at quantumtheater.com/10-12. We are back and we are still making our list of 1,000 things that we love about Pittsburgh. It's all part of a season of celebrating making 1,000 episodes of this show and talking about what we love about living here in the city. Our 1,000 Things project is brought to you by the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust. And since we're talking about things we love, we're also letting them talk about what they love.
And their pick of the week is Arts Landing. So, we've already mentioned that today, but, it's going to be this brand new civic green space in the cultural district.
Almost done. It's getting there.
So close. Enjoy it after the NFL draft. And it's also going to be the new home of the Dollar Bank Three Rivers Art Festival. And that comes up in June. So I think that's going to be a really great time to experience a space in all its glory if you don't want to go there right now.
And another part of our festivities about celebrating 1,000 things is also 412 Day, our very real holiday, celebrating our area code and what we like about being here. So we're doing that before the draft, before the craziness.
So you can go see the walls.
Yes. Well, the gates aren't anywhere near Southern Tier yet, but I have heard it's going to expand after they get everything built. So it'll be at Southern Tier Brewing on the North Shore. That's Sunday, April 12th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. There's a vendor market, a DJ, a flash tattoo artist, and our beer. We have a Nebby Neighbor beer.
also have swag, and there is going to be bonus swag for members. So if you want to join that neighbor program, head over now to membership.citycast.fm. We just ordered the member swag. It's really, really cute.
It is. I got to help design it, and I'm really proud of myself. The whole event, though, is free. It's family friendly. It's dog friendly. We will be asking you when you're there what you like about Pittsburgh. You can creatively complain, too. We've gotten a few of those, and I appreciate y'all. Y'all are my people. Like, you know how to, like, say nice things, but also, like, just fuss a little bit in the margins, and I appreciate that. Bring your ideas. You do not have to pick your very favorite. Don't overthink it. Pick a favorite. You can do multiple favorites. Colin, it's your turn. We're putting you on the spot. What is a favorite thing about living in Pittsburgh?
You look so shocked. We told you we'd be doing this.
Yes, it's a few. We got weeks. We got multiple weeks of this.
I think it's honestly challenging for me because there are so many things to love about this city, but I will actually bring up a relative newcomer as one of my favorite things about Pittsburgh. I thought the shore thing was so freaking cool last year. I can't wait until that's back on the water. It's such a great way to experience the city. The vantage point of the skyline is perfect. You could theoretically like kayak up to it.
Yeah, on the Allegheny River. It was full of art, which I think they're going to be installing new art this year. But it's like bites and beverages, and you get all the views. And depending on when you're there, like every single time I went, there was some kind of like there were boats going by with their music blaring clearly for us on shore thing. One time there was a full blown family band. I found them on Facebook, and apparently
That's incredible.
This has been a thing they've been doing for a while, but they planned it around Shore Thing last year where they had got their on a pontoon and play and just went back and forth and back and forth. And it was great. Everybody was cheering for them every time they went by.
I hope I see them this year. I did not know about this. I'll be kayaking up and down looking for them.
Yeah, it's amazing. Sophia, what about you?
Since we've been, chatting about trees a little bit, I just want to shout out our trees, nature in the city. I think, I moved here from Chicago, which obviously has Lake Michigan, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But like the rest of the city is very concrete. And here we have so many parks, like little pockets of nature. Since, the hills are all around us. I know they suck to maybe climb up and down sometimes, but it's very cool to have access to nature and still get all of like the city resources and like things to do kind of thing.
That's really sweet.
It does my heart good to see all the trees turning green right now, too. I'm like, as I'm coming down the hills, all the like flowers are bursting open and the leaves are starting to unfold. It's doing me good.
Oh my God. I moved here in November and then I went on vacation in March. And when I came back, everything was green. And I honestly
Did you weep?
Forgot some of the road. I was like, have I been on this road before? And I was like, no, it just looks so different.
Yeah, I was reading something that I think the pink blooms, which usually we would be experiencing by now. They're a little late this year. They're going to be popping for the NFL draft. We are going to look as pretty as we ever do for all the out-of-towners. They got lucky. They got real lucky with that. Mine actually this week, I think I thought of because of how we started the show talking about the Pirates giveaway stuff, because they always do so many dollar hot dog nights. I am grateful for a city that appreciates a good dollar hot dog and an obsession with a specific condiment. I'm also a ketchup on hot dogs person, so that's probably part of this. But I also think it's just so funny how much we revel in it. Like the Pens game, for example, this week. I think it was this week that had they did their dollar hot dog night. They broke the dang record.
My partner was there. He bought 3 hot dogs. Congratulations for helping.
He contributed. It was 20 or 22,000 hot dogs served or something. I don't know what the previous record was, but it was an impressive number of hot dogs. And they kept showing people in the stands in hot dog outfits. We throw down for a free hot dog.
I think it was also a CMU student night. And if I were a student, I'd also be going feral for a $1 hot dog.
Good point.
I feel like we need to get a Pittsburgh-centric metric of how many how many Duquesne inclines is 22,000 hot dogs? How many Fort Pitt bridges is 22,000 hot dogs? I feel like we need some local metrics to put this all in perspective.
That feels like good homework. I'm going to note that. Put a pin in that. We might do that for you. That seems like the kind of dumb brain melding task that could bring me some joy on a future Friday. Related to green spaces, to our trees, to our parks, Pitt this week joined the thing that a lot of our major institutions are doing right now, where they're throwing a very small amount of money, considering how much they spend and bring in, towards city things, city problems. So we had that air quotes here, gift earlier this year for ambulances. PNC Bank or PNC Foundation, which is part of the bank or associated with the bank, they also jumped in. Now the University of Pittsburgh has joined the party.
So yeah, Pitt says that they're pledging $5 million to the city, and this is apparently going to be used for the Main and Main initiative, which is about basically improving business districts. Some of this money could be used for the parks, and some could be used for public safety. The thing that's a little confusing to me is that the plan is pretty light on specifics. So there's not really a breakdown of how this stuff would be used. Personally, I'm also very curious to see if any of this is going to go to things like pedestrian safety, because there has been a really alarming increase in crashes along the 5th and Forbes corridor. So yeah, kind of how this is spent and what Pitt gets out of it, I think is a bit of an open question.
And I also read that the money's coming in over the course of 5 years. So this is...
What?
Yeah, not really
I
that
missed that.
much.
I missed that. $1 million a year, that's it?
For a big university. And yeah, it's not coming to us all at once. So I am also curious, like, what kind of projects could we fund if it's coming in at $1 million at a time? Like, that seems like a lot of little things and maybe not like a big road improvement kind of project.
I did not realize it was so little. I mean, it also makes me wonder, like, how any of this plays with the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy, which were supposed to be the arbiters of the parks tax that voters wanted some years ago. It wasn't that long ago, but like, where's that money going? Like, where's it been going? I genuinely don't know. These are questions I want to know. It's not like we haven't done any parks improvement stuff, but it just seems like it was going to like the general fund or being spent. I mean, I get that we're broke. You got to move money over from time to time, but like not all the time. Why is that money not going to actual parks? That's what voters wanted. And maybe it is. I don't actually know.
And Mayor O'Connor has been kind of critical of this whole process and the parks tax, because he says that some of the stuff that the money is going to should actually be funded by the general operating budget, which again, is not balanced at the moment. So yeah, this is another thing where it just feels like these big nonprofits may be buying themselves some time. But I guess it is an improvement on being sued into submission, which was sort of the approach of the Gainey administration. But it seems like Pittsburgh is expecting maybe a bit more charity than they're actually giving us.
Yeah, and to the parks tax, like part of the reason I think I'm expressing a bit of frustration is because we have not asked the O'Connor administration, or at least I personally haven't. I need to, but we did ask the Gainey administration multiple times for more information about that, and we just never got anything, like, ever. And I've heard that from a lot of reporters around town, is that like clarity on that fund and how it was operating compared to how voters said they wanted it to operate. I don't know how those dots connect, because the city would not tell us.
But, some good nature news. If you want a free tree right now and you live in Allegheny County, Tree Pittsburgh just dropped a bunch of dates for tree adoptions. So you can sign up on their website. Let's see. They're kind of all over the place. So they have a couple at their campus in Lawrenceville, but they'll also be in Verona. They're going to Turtle Creek. They'll be at a library. So different opportunities to get trees. I will say the fruit tree adoption is sold out. That's on Saturday, April 11th at the Tree Pittsburgh campus. But I might be lingering there anyway, because they say if there's an adoption that's been sold out, you can still show up, maybe towards the end of the window, just because people no-show, people cancel. Sometimes they might just have extra things to give away. So not totally a lost cause if you didn't get a sign up for the date you wanted, but spots fill up quick. So if there's something open, grab it.
Yeah, and if you want to know what's available, if you go to Tree Pittsburgh website, and we'll put the link in our show notes, you can kind of take a glance at least at the types of trees available, just to like get a sense if it's the ones that might work best in your yard. They're really fun. Like, if nothing else, like, it's nice to know that this is a resource that exists in our town, even if you don't need one right now. Maybe your neighbor does, or maybe you know someone who would benefit from knowing that this exists. They also do it in the fall too. So if now is not the time, it could come later.
One of the things I love about these tree adoptions is that they have kind of reintroduced some native species like the serviceberry and the persimmon. I personally would also really love to get a pawpaw tree. I just want to like shout out our native species, kind of to your earlier point, Sophia, about our green space in Pittsburgh. These programs have been really great for local biodiversity. They're getting some native species back into people's yards. So it's a great initiative.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're circling all the way back to the NFL, I have no idea, but I hope that Tree Pittsburgh is involved in that, because like when we talked to their executive director a while ago, I remember something that I felt like I learned from that conversation was her talking about how like we did not know enough about like what types of trees to plant so that they can thrive in certain spaces. And chief among that is the types of trees cities should be putting in tree wells, because like not every tree does well. As we all know, like who among us has not busted ourselves on a sidewalk in Squirrel Hill because those roots have broken up the sidewalks so badly. And that's true all over the city. So, you know, even though it's not great to have lost trees in that NFL space between Acrisure and PNC, I hope that experts like with our city forestry or Tree Pittsburgh or whoever are able to contribute to those conversations so that we pick species that legitimately can thrive for many years to come. Now it is time to shout out a few of our CityCast Pittsburgh neighbors. This is what we call our folks that are members of CityCast. We're so grateful for y'all, and this is your chance to shout out anything you want to. What are you loving in Pittsburgh?
Ashley J is loving cop-out pierogies in Etna, and she low-key wrote like kind of a short essay about how great their fish fry options are.
I did ask for more details and a lot more like notes in there. So Ashley, thank you. Thank you for understanding the assignment.
This is great. So she went towards the beginning of fish fry season, which is wrapping up now. I did check, and Cop-Out Pierogies is open today on Good Friday. So this is your chance to really take advantage of Ashley's recommendations. She loved the fish sandwich, said it was very high quality, delicately crispy, and flavorful, served with a side of perfect diner-style coleslaw. She also said the potato pancakes were really big, and they come with this cinnamony applesauce. Her hack is to save the applesauce to eat with some of their dessert pierogi. And then she also tried the potato and sauerkraut pierogi, very classic flavor. And she also said that the service was really great. The people are super friendly, and she'll be back soon. And honestly, now I want to go. I also poked around Cop Out Pierogi's Facebook page. They're also doing a seafood quesadilla with what looks like shrimp inside. So if you're still doing the whole Lent season but are sick of fish sandwiches, there's another option out there for you. Thank you, Ashley.
I can confirm that Cop Out is really good. My friends had them cater their wedding, and they have a huge variety of flavors. They have some stuff that's a little bit more off the beaten path. They had a very good Reuben pierogi the last time I had their work.
I will be checking this out. Ashley, per usual, we are so appreciative. If you are listening to this and you have a hot take, a big recommendation for a local business, a nonprofit, a fish sandwich, then you may let us know by becoming a neighbor of CityCast, and you can send us as many shout outs as you want, as often as you want. We will read them right here on the podcast, and they'll be in our newsletter. You can join the membership program at membership.citycast.fm. Do it today. Old neighbors, please continue to send us stuff too. We want to know what Yin's like.
And welcome to our newest neighbor, Erin B.
Oh, you're not going to pressure Erin? Usually you pressure people.
I usually
here,
pressure people, but should I do it every week? Does it sound too good?
I don't know. What kind of energy do you want to send to Erin right now?
I don't know. I'm like a deer in headlights now. Erin, tell me
no
what
pressure,
you love.
Erin.
Erin, what's your favorite pierogi flavor?
Thank you, Colin. Thank you for jumping in. So we'll move on to wins and losses and things to know. Pittsburgh in space, sort of, because Artemis 2 launched successfully Wednesday. My whole family watched. It's the first time we got to let our kid watch a space thing. I remember really strongly watching rockets take off. It was a whole thing in school. You'd get taken to some main area and a million people would be crowded around one of those old tube TVs.
The old TV. Yep.
Yeah. In this case, my child is watching the flat screen in his living room, but mesmerized. Not that it takes a ton for a toddler, but still mouth open, eyes wide, asking questions. It was really cute. Was very concerned when the fuel boosters fell off. He was like, they're going to go get them, right? Anyway, Pittsburgh is often involved in space things. We'd actually talked about that a little bit on Tuesday. But Astrobotic, one of the companies here, they are working on a future mission. But it's all kind of interrelated, some of these missions. So we thought we would throw a mention out right now.
Yeah, so they had the Peregrine lander, some listeners may recall, that was launched in 2024, but there was a fuel leak that basically prevented it from actually being able to reach the lunar surface. So the goal now is this to get this Griffin lander onto the surface of the moon. So Astrobotic has that ready to go. It sounds like they're going to be doing some testing this summer. And then CMU also is planning to venture into space in 2029. So there's a Moon Ranger rover that will be launching on a private mission in a few years. And the goal there, I guess, is to detect water beneath the surface of the moon, which is potentially key to some of these longer term missions that the government has been kind of teasing. Astrobotic is also at work on what is called a Lunagrid power array that's going to be basically the solar panel, sort of mobile solar panel setup that could potentially power a lunar base. So Pittsburgh, getting some skin in the game here when it comes to these future Artemis missions and some other private flights as well.
Yeah, and just throwing it back a couple of months too. I remember when the story popped, but I did not realize the Pittsburgh connection at the time. So if you saw any of the stories about the astronaut that had to be medically evacuated from the space station back in January, that guy is from here in Pittsburgh, Mike Fink.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so he's 59, or at least he was at the time of the evacuation, originally from Emsworth, attended Sewickley Academy, retired Air Force colonel. I've talked to him before because NASA loves setting up interviews with local press, and they're always so much fun. Like the astronauts always so excited to talk about their local connections. Pittsburgh has had a fair amount of astronauts over the years, or people who work in NASA. And Mars Township actually usually does like a whole festival dedicated around like the Martian New Year, and they bring in a lot of those locals, including people that were like born and raised around here. Anyway, it's all so fun. But Mike, he was the first ever medical evacuation. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, this sounded pretty scary too. He apparently lost the ability to speak for about 20 minutes. There was still some vagueness to some of the reports, and apparently that's partly because doctors weren't really sure what happened, whether it was some sort of issue related to the fact that he had been in weightlessness for a total of 549 days over his spaceflight career. But they did rule out choking or a heart attack, so I guess that's good news. Certainly,
he described it as like hitting like a lightning bolt. I mean, that must have been so scary for him and his colleagues.
Oh man, I can't even imagine. And it feels like Apollo 13 or something like that. But he did, successfully splash down, ended the mission early, and seems to be fine. So wishing the best to Mike as he recovers from this.
Yeah, notably, flew a terrible towel in space during his mission. I think that's fun. It made me wonder, Sophia, if they're going to study him or work with him at all in this like new space medical lab that we just talked about over at Pitt.
Yeah. That episode should be dropping next week if you want to hear a little bit more about the cool research Pitt is doing. And
that's right. I forgot we recorded it, but it's not published yet. Maybe teasing. It's coming soon.
Yes, definitely coming soon. Something else to know, Frontline Dignity is planning to walk from the ICE office at the south side all the way to Moshannon. That's where Pennsylvania's biggest detention center is. And this walk is starting on Sunday. So the walk's being led by the executive director, Jaime Martinez. And along the way, he'll be joined by immigration advocacy groups, faith leaders, and just anyone else who wants to walk with him. So this is going to be an 8-day walk. It's 130 miles. So like I said, it starts on Sunday. Notably, that's Easter. So if you want to participate, there are going to be some speakers at 7:15 in the morning in front of the ICE office before the walk starts at 8 a.m. And like I said, anyone's welcome to join in for part of the walk. As far as I can tell, there's not like an exact route, at least that's been published. But I'm sure like some people will be joining as, Jaime is leaving the South Side area and going through Pittsburgh. So the goal for this whole thing is just to like continue raising awareness about detentions, ICE detentions in our region, connect with more people. And also part of this is a fundraiser. So Frontline Dignity can keep doing their work of ethically witnessing ICE detentions and trying to get like information back to loved ones and families for like the people who are detained. The goal is to raise a whole lot of money, $133,000. So if you want to help, you can donate at their website. That's frontlinedignity.org. And if you just want to hear a little bit more about what they do, we've also interviewed Jaime, and he's kind of given like an abbreviated version of a frontline dignity training. I know if you want that information, those trainings fill up really fast. But if you're interested in actually attending the training and joining the rapid response group, I highly recommend it. And you can they usually post on Instagram pretty frequently for when their trainings are. And it seems like they've been doing more and more. Training I went to had over almost, I don't know if it was over 1,000 people, almost 1,000 people, but it was really great to see.
Yeah, and they're mostly in person. They do occasionally do a virtual one, but I know in person's difficult for some folks to get to. So you can get a taste of what the whole thing would be through a pod if you want to.
So to put a bow on our football coverage for the day, this is, I guess, a thing to know. Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, says that the Rooney Rule is not going anywhere. Of course, this is the rule named after Pittsburgh owner Art Rooney. Basically, the rule is to make sure that anytime you're hiring a head coach for a football team, there have to be black candidates interviewed. So the Florida Attorney General has been basically threatening a lawsuit if the NFL doesn't drop the rule, claiming that it's part of some sort of illegal DEI initiative. Goodell, for his part, has said that diversity is, quote, a benefit to the league. This is kind of timely news because it comes on the heels of an article by The Athletic that really delved into the Rooney Rule and the ways that it has and really hasn't been working in recent years. Notably, none of the 10 head coaching vacancies from the past football offseason went to black men, and this is in a league that's almost 70% black. And there were some pretty heartbreaking quotes in this Athletic article. One of the anonymous coaches they interviewed said, being a person of color, you know it's going to be harder. You have goals to one day be a coordinator and a head coach, but don't know if it'll actually happen because of the way things are. So it'll be interesting to see what plays out with that. Seems like Goodell is kind of holding the line, and the league has a lot of power. So this is really kind of a clash of the titans here between the state of Florida and the National Football League.
Yeah, it's one of these instances where I feel like it's a good thing that Pittsburgh is leading and has led for a long time on being kind of a hard line on this. But it's not like we're immune from this either. Like the NFL in its leadership positions has a severe shortage of diverse candidates that make it to a certain echelon. And I don't think that's lost on them, but I also don't think they're doing enough to deal with it. Not for nothing, Colin. I believe it was Dan Rooney, not Art, that it's actually named after. It's still a Rooney. You were close.
In the ballpark, so to speak, or on the gridiron. As a sidebar to that as well, the Steelers still do not have a quarterback as of this writing. Aaron Rodgers is apparently holding out for more pay. I've heard options floated like Kirk Cousins and Josh Dobbs that people were not happy about. There's also rumors about Teddy Bridgewater potentially being considered. Apparently, the Steelers are having Arkansas's quarterback Taylon Green visit the team, which also raises questions about what their long-term plans would be with Will Howard and Mason Rudolph. So
those are the backup quarterbacks that they've had for a minute. Sophia, I see your face fading away.
I don't know what's happening.
When I went down yesterday to just go be a Nebby neighbor and see how the stage is coming along on the North Shore, I was just driving across Fort Duquesne Bridge and saw the darn thing going up with big cranes, and I'm like, screeched the car over to take the North Shore exit so I could go talk. Anyway, I made a new friend who had just left the pro shop, Suzanne, lovely lady from the South Hills, thick Yinzer accent. And we had a nice long talk about the quarterback situation. It was very funny. I love talking football with Pittsburgh women or femme presenting people. It's a different vibe in the funniest, most pragmatic way. And I appreciate all of y'all that like sports in a very male dominated city.
What was her take?
We were just fussing about the quarterback situation. And there's rumors, apparently, that the team has told Aaron Rodgers that he must decide, be present, I'm not actually sure, by the start of the draft. But they did this whole song and dance last year, and he did not report a single second earlier than training camp in the fall. So I don't know that they have, does he care? Does he care at all? I don't know.
I might actually kind of have an answer to this one, because while Colin started talking quarterbacks, I started Googling. I ended up on People for my sports news.
People magazine?
Yes,
Bring it.
People magazine.
What do you got, Sophia?
So Rooney, I'm guessing this one is, yes, Art Rooney. He said that he'd expect...
The second. This is the grandson, but keep going.
Thank you. He shared a timeline a little bit for Rodgers' decision. He says he expects an answer by the draft, but there's no mention in this article about whether that actually means he's physically present or not. But I do want to leave you with a quote. from Rogers. This is how the article ends.
Your voice is quivering.
He's talking about how he's staying in shape, but the reason is not for football. He said, I want to look good. I want my wife to want to F me all the time.
Oh my God. Is this his...
He is who he is.
So I don't know how important the NFL draft is to him.
His wife, whose existence is unconfirmed. I have friends who firmly believe, by the way, that Aaron Rodgers is married to an AI agent. So, I mean, it's who knows what's happening. Maybe he's physically present for the draft, but is he mentally present, I think is a fair question to raise.
Okay, so not to pile on the potentially bad news, depending on how you feel about quarterbacks, I guess, some bad beer news this week.
Yeah, I think on a previous episode, I had shouted out the resilience of our craft beer scene here in Pittsburgh. And unfortunately,
you did. Colin, is this your fault?
I may have jinxed it.
What'd you shout out today? We'll check on it next week.
Sure thing, which does implicate our craft beer industry. So I'm wishing them all the best, certainly.
Yes, our friends at River Life. May you do well in 2026.
But the local beer lovers are certain to have been saddened this week by news that Fatheads is closing. I mean, this is an anchor institution on Carson Street. Fatheads has been around since 1991 in that location. I'm very sorry to see the departure of their delicious smoked wings and their head witches. One thing that I'm curious about is this news came suspiciously close to reports of a fatal shooting in the area. So I do wonder if that maybe affected their calculus. But there's also just been some changes in the craft beer landscape overall, some changes in the Southside landscape. And shortly after, Penn Brewing, it came out, is filing for bankruptcy protection. So this is actually the oldest craft beer outlet in the city. They've been brewing since 1986 in that Eberhard and Ober building in Troy Hill. And they actually recently expanded their service to 7 days a week, but apparently are doing so under a burden of millions of dollars in debt. They, I guess, have one $5 million loan, and they're framing this whole bankruptcy as a strategic tool to restructure. So, some headwinds, I guess, really show kind of what the craft beer industry is facing as people drink less and change their consumption habits.
Yeah, I mean, Penn Brewing in particular, I saw the headlines that they were closing too. So I'm glad it's a restructuring, not like a full bore closure in their case. So if you are a fan of Penn Brewery, now is the time to go have a snack. They have one of my favorite comfort foods in the whole city. Their pork schnitzel with mashed potatoes and gravy. Like if I've had a terrible day, that is what I'm ordering to take home. And that happened at the last place I had a favorite comfort meal. Like it also closed in bankruptcy. This can't keep happening to my favorite comfort foods.
I also think Penn Brewing's Hefeweizen, as a former resident of Germany, is the best wheat beer in the United States as far as just nailing that German flavor profile. It is so freaking good. That is always my airport go-to. If I'm heading out, I stop at the Penn Brewing location and grab a Hefeweizen before I board the plane. So really hoping that they can continue brewing that, especially now that they're approaching this. This is their 40th anniversary. So
you're right.
So I'm hoping for another 40 years of that Hefeweizen.
I'm an IPA girly myself. And also if you're a Boilermaker person, they do a very generous pour. But I don't want Penn Brew to go away. Like they're an institution. I guess we'll close with a happy home opening day to Pirates fans. It's today. As we're recording this, it looks like a rain out is possible. But if you are tailgating, if you're planning to, if the game is in fact, as you're listening to this, still about to happen, we hope you have a nice time. I will be down there. So my fingers and toes are all crossed right now.
See you there during Yinzer-Palooza.
It looks like Bucco fans might get to see Connor Griffin if the game goes ahead as planned. So there's a win for you to close out this podcast.
And we might get to see what remains of the Bucco bricks. Like they've been working on it forever every time I've been down there. And I guess they finally unveiled the bronze statue. It's not a statue, like plaques.
Yeah. They're on the wall in the pictures I've seen. Yeah.
I haven't seen them yet, but I will be going over to pay my respects.
I hope they came paired with a Mylar balloon that says, "I'm sorry," given how they handled that situation last year.
That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. You can support us by becoming a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. More information is at membership.citycast.fm. Our music is by Los Mocochetes, Aaron Taylor Waldman, All the Kimonos, Chanterelle, Water Mirrors, Benji, and Brent Lilly, with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. Mallory Falk is our executive producer. This week, Sophia Lo and Elizabeth Kama produced the show. Francesca DeBecco and Natalia Aldana wrote our newsletter. And I am your host, Megan Harris. We'll be back on Monday with more from around the city. Have a great weekend, y'all.
Did you try one of the dessert pierogies? I'm so curious with how those are filled.
I've had a dessert pierogi, but I can't remember what the filling was. It's been a little while since I've had Cop Out. This is a good reminder to get back over there.